energy. I'm talking about the real things, which is a separate issue, quite apart from these phony schemes to create what looks like alternative energy when it actually isn't. We're going out here at the bottom of the hour. I'm sitting in for Alex Jones. This is John Rappaport, and we will be back after this break.
We're on the march. The Empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
I don't know what it is. Ralph just won't pay any attention to me. When he comes home from work, all he ever does is play video games and go to sleep. It's like I don't even exist.
Oh, Betty, that's just awful.
Does this seem familiar? If the answer to this question is yes, then listen carefully. Toxic pesticides, GMO foods and additives, BPA plastics, contaminated water supplies. Many of these toxic additives are deliberately engineered to attack and weaken human masculinity. It's part of the eugenics population control movement. Look it up. If men are more interested in online gaming than they are in their wives, a serious population crisis is soon to follow. Energize the man in your life with Super Male Vitality from InfoWarsLife.com. It's designed to aid the body in ways that help invigorate your natural systems without artificial testosterone, completely free of GMOs, harmful additives, gluten, and is made right here in the USA. Get your Super Male Vitality right now at InfoWarsLife.com or call 1-888-253-3139.
Hi, folks. Alex Jones here with some important information. I want to tell you about Matt Redhawk and his team of patriots over at My Patriot Supply. Several years ago, Matt was sitting in his two-bedroom apartment, frustrated with the direction this country was headed and the charlatans willing to sell us out for a quick buck. Deciding to take action, a company run by patriots for patriots was born. My Patriot Supply has never taken a loan or accepted outside funding. They now operate 2 distribution facilities and employ over 50 hardworking American men and women. It is rare to find companies who practice what they preach. And that's why I stock my pantry with high-quality storable foods from My Patriot Supply. Go to mypatriotsupply.com/Alex today for special offers on emergency food storage or call their preparedness specialist at 866-229-0927. That's 866-229-0927. Do business with someone who shares your values. mypatriotsupply.com/Alex.
A chemical spill contaminating the water supply in 9 West Virginia counties.
This year alone, over 300,000 people in West Virginia had their drinking water contaminated.
What are the health effects of having these drugs in our drinking water?
It's forced medical treatment without the consent of residents.
My friends, water filtration is one of the most basic actions you can take to protect you and your family from the harmful toxins and heavy metals in your tap water.
On average, the county says it sprays with the glyphosate at least once a week.
Few filters cut out the glyphosate that is found in water supplies worldwide. Remove pesticides, herbicides, chloramines, hydrofluorosilicic acid, sodium hexafluorosilicate.
Fluoride, it is in tea, it's in coffee, it's in water, it's in bread, it's in toothpaste.
It is our responsibility to protect our families. The establishment's not going to do it. It's time to take action. It's time to filter our water. Visit InfoWarsStore.com and use promo code WATER to get 10% off their entire family of incredible products. Or call toll-free 888-253-3139.
Resistance to tyrants is obedience to God. It's Alex Jones.
This is John Rappaport sitting in for Alex Jones for the rest of the hour. I just want to mention the tremendous work that all the crew at InfoWars do. I mean, because I've been a reporter for 30 years, I understand how operations work. And to put this together without, government subsidies and all kinds of easy cash, to actually make this an entrepreneurial news independent operation is far from easy, especially with about 50 people on board. The reporters and the crew do a great job, and they finance this whole operation on the basis of the products that they tell you about, that you buy, that are the best products they can possibly bring to you, that you will find at InfoWarsLife.com, which is the store. Especially 2 new products, X2, which is the nascent iodine, and Super Female Vitality. those are two of the newest products in the store. I urge you to look into this. Go to InfoWarsLife.com, the store, and support the crew at InfoWars and get yourself access to unique products at the same time. Okay? Okay. Make sure you do that. We're getting back to energy. And of course, those products are about energy. Energy is everywhere. How much energy do you have today? Can you last? Can you get through the day? How many cups of coffee do you need? How many Red Bulls? Everybody is involved with energy on some level, whether it's personal energy, energy to run their machines, their devices, their cars, their houses, their offices, places of business. The society, the civilization runs on energy. So what's the problem? Well, we don't have a problem with that. The problem is that the people who control this planet, the elites, they want to dominate the energy. Monopoly, cartel, that's what we're talking about. And oil is the perfect mechanism for this to do. And they can foment wars in the Middle East, where a lot of the oil is. And they can make oil seem scarcer. And they can raise the price. And they can manipulate the price up and down because they control the basic energy commodity of the planet. In their view, which they are promoting to you, to everybody. This is what we have, folks. We have oil. That's all we have. There's nothing else, really. If we give up the oil, we're all going to go into the darkness and the chaos, which is a complete lie, because there have been many suppressed energy technologies, not the woo-woo fairy tale. I put a crystal on the mantle and looked at it, and suddenly my car started driving down the street. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Frank Schumann that I spoke about in the last segment. This was a guy an engineer who pioneered engines that ran on solar in the beginning of the 20th century. What happened to that? That was an existing, workable, useful, dramatic breakthrough technology right then and there at the beginning of the 20th century. 1913 started pumping 6,000 gallons of water per minute through that solar energy off of the Nile into cotton fields in Egypt. You would think somebody would get a clue from that. Revolutionize it. Let me tell you about something really extraordinary. Passamaquoddy. Passamaquoddy. The Maine, state of Maine, Passamaquoddy Tidal Basin project that JFK was obsessively interested in since his days as a U.S. Senator. We're talking in the late 1950s. In 1959, he went up to the state of Maine and looked over this proposal to build a tidal basin project right off the coast of Maine with a huge turbine, because the height of the water tide every day was very high and very low and very high and very low, very good for turning a turbine and creating electricity, an enormous amount of electricity, get this, for the state of Maine. In 1962, he commissioned a report. He was president then. What is happening with Passamaquoddy? It's being stalled all these years. Different entities are fighting over it. Different cartels are trying to stop it. I want a report. The report was turned in to President Kennedy. It was a positive report on the possibilities from Passamaquoddy, the Tidal Basin project. Shortly after that, JFK was murdered, and the whole project went into abeyance. It's not just the Passamaquoddy project. It's anywhere in the country, in America. It's anywhere in the world where there is a coastal inlet that has those conditions. There are many, 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 many coastal inlets all over the world that could be used to build these water turbine projects. This is not woo-woo fairy tale up in the clouds, alternative energy. This is straight ahead down the line electricity production using the ocean, using the tides and turbines. Everybody knows about this. There's at least one company I researched some years ago, there are probably more now, that can put small turbines in rivers and produce energy for local communities. This is not strange, weird stuff. This is real stuff. And remember, Nikola Tesla, the famous inventor, when he died, the FBI instantly raided his hotel room and took all of his papers and confiscated them. And what were those papers all about that have never been returned? They're about alternative energy, which is really mainstream breakthrough energy. When Tesla envisioned being able to supply free energy to the entire planet, or pennies worth of cost for free energy for the entire planet. What are we talking about when we talk about human health, folks? Think about this. Come on. We're talking about energy. What's the difference in energy level between a very sick person and a very healthy person? Human energy, not just energy to run cars, human energy. We've had a great deal of suppressed research about that, not starting with, but including Royal Rife, the famous scientist in Southern California who developed his own breakthrough microscope that could observe microorganisms in action. And his frequency generator that he used to experiment on these microorganisms and kill off destructive ones with frequencies. In his time, you can see the newspaper articles. They appeared in Southern California. He was heralded as a genius by medical authorities until he decided not to cooperate with them to form any sort of cooperative business venture, at which point he became persona non grata, at which point he became a fraud. All of a sudden, the man was a fraud. He was a genius yesterday, now he's a fraud. Now he's dangerous. Now he's evil. Now he's distracting people away from what can really cure cancer. Oh, baby. Rife cured, 16 people of cancer who were seriously ill with cancer. The newspaper articles appeared on this. It was verified. And then suddenly it never happened. Suddenly it didn't happen. Do you realize what we're talking about in terms of human energy uptake? The difference between somebody who's in desperate straits with cancer and a cured individual? What about Stan Brzezinski down in Texas? Houston. 7 grand juries, state and federal, that have been mounted to destroy Brzezinski because he invented his own medicine to treat cancer that was not part of the pharmaceutical complex, that worked on a number of patients. Brzezinski never overstated what he could do with his medicine, neoplastins. He continued to do research. He continued to treat people. I know a guy in Los Angeles personally who lives for, I'm going to say 20 to 25 years longer than doctors said he could because he was treated by Brzezinski. And yet now, tremendous strictures and restraints on which patients Brzezinski is allowed to treat. Who can come to his clinic? What can he do with people as a doctor? And the legal assault never seems to stop on the guy. Grand jury after grand jury. They can indict a ham sandwich, is the saying about a grand jury, but no grand jury ever indicted Brzezinski. Why? Because they all realized that the DAs and the prosecutors were lying through their teeth when they tried to destroy this humanitarian doctor in Texas, and so they refused to turn back permission to prosecute. We're talking about human energy there, which is at least as vital as the energy to power a civilization through cables, through wireless means, whatever. We're looking at suppression of alternative technologies from top to bottom, all over the place, everywhere. And this JFK Passamaquoddy story, you check it out on Google. In depth. Andrea Silverthorne